Hello everyone, welcome to this tutorial. So why I'm making this tutorial? To build Flutter apps. In order to do that, you need basic understanding of Dart, and I am making this course for beginners, but I will assume you have basic understanding of programming, such as what is variable, what is loop, what is function, etc. etc. Let's look at our contents. So we will learn about Dart variables, data type, operators, and after that we will learn about our object-oriented programming concepts such as classes, objects, constructor, methods, and so on. So I hope your SDK setup has been done. If you haven't, I will give a link to my video in the description box. You can watch the video and set up your SDK. And there is another option. You can go to your browser and search for Dartpad. I'll show you how to do that. Just search for Dartpad and then click on this first link. You can write your code here also and run it. This is absolutely fine, but I'll highly recommend you to use your local machine. This is much faster and it will increase your productivity. Okay, let's start with what is Dart. So Dart is a high-level programming language. It is developed by Google and it is also open source. So Dart is usually developed for cross-platform development for like iOS, Android, and there is some Windows web and Mac OS features also, but we don't do that initially, literally, and just focuses on Android and iOS. So Dart is highly inspired by JavaScript, but there is some other guest features from other programming languages like from C#, Java, and so on. Dart integrates all of the great features from that. And Dart is a statically typed language. So what is a statically typed language? I will explain it when we will learn variable. So let's jump into our coding topic. Here, let me create a file. I'll name it hello. Make sure the extension is .dart in order to write Dart code. Then, like many of the programming languages, Dart also have a main function. This is our entry point of the program. So our program starts execute from there. Just write like that. So I will explain it. What is this main function and how function works in the function related videos. Okay, let's write a print statement. I will write hello world. So this print statement takes a single argument and shows us as output. So if I save this file and run it, as you can see, our hello world is here. If I change it and say it hello YouTube and run it again, and you will see hello YouTube is here. So what's happening here? So as I said, this print statement takes a single argument. So it can be a string, it can be a integer value. Here 100 is here. It can be a floating value here, and it can be a boolean value also. So we will learn about data types later, but for this print statement I am just showing it. So as I said, this print statement takes single argument. What I mean by that, if you try to put multiple arguments 60 and 100, as you can see, this compiler is giving me an error. So if I run this, it will say one argument is allowed, but it found two. So two argument is not possible. So we'll discuss about more string interpolation and how to print multiple variables later. And let's jump into our variable section. So there is two major ways to declare a variable in Dart. So first one is declare a variable implicitly, and second one is declare a variable explicitly. So I will show you how to declare a variable explicitly when we will learn about data types, but let's focus on implicitly declare a variable. So there are three keywords, so var, const, and final, and you can use any of them. There is some significant difference between all of them, and after that you have to put a variable name and then a value. Okay, let me go to our code editor and create a file, variable.dart, then our main function, and here I can use var keyword and declare a variable. I will name it as age is equals to 50. So Dart supports type inference. So if you use var and then give a name to your variable and assign a value to it, and if you hover over this age, you will see it says it's an integer. That means the compiler automatically detecting what kind of variable it is. So if I print this age, and here my age is printing here, so I can modify this variable and print it again. Suppose I would say age equals to 100. Then if I try to print it, then 100 is here. But what if I try to assign a string inside this age variable? As you can see, this is giving me an error. So why this is happening? Because Dart is statically typed language. That means when it is compiling, in this point, this is considered, this age variable is considered as an integer. But when you are modifying it, you are inserting a string, and the compiler will say, bro, this is an integer. Why you are giving me an string? So that's why this is giving you an error. You have to remember, when the first time you inserted the value, you have to insert a similar type of value when you are modifying it. So I was inserting an integer and I have to insert an integer again. Okay, so what is the advantage of using var? So var is mutable. That means you can modify this variable as much time as you want, but you have to make sure you are not changing the data type. So if I want to change the age is equals to 80, this is also possible. And if I print it, you will see age is equals to 80. Okay, now let me declare another variable using var. I just declare it, var y, and I can assign a value to it later. Y is equals to 100. So this is also possible while you are using var. Okay, so now we know about var. Let's discuss about our other two. Okay, let's discuss about constant. So unlike var, constant is a compile time constant, and this is immutable. When you are declaring a variable and assigning a value to it, from that moment you can't change that value. Suppose var name equals to Batman, and if I try to modify this name variable, it will give me an error because this is immutable. Constant is immutable. And another thing is to remember that when you are creating a constant variable, you have to initialize the value within that line. You can't declare a variable and assign a value to it later. Suppose if I try this is not possible. So make sure when you are using const keyword, you are assigning a value to it within this line of code. Okay, so what about final? So unlike constant, final is a runtime constant. So what does that mean? So you have a flexibility. So suppose I don't know what kind of value it is, or suppose when we took user input, so we don't know what kind of value the user will put in here, but on that moment we can use final keyword and declare our variable. Suppose I'll say it variable x. So we can take user input, but when the value is initialized, suppose I will give a value to it, and from that moment this variable is immutable. You can't modify it later. Suppose if I try to modify it, x is equals to 200. So as you can see, this is giving me an error. This is not possible. So constant is a compile time constant and final is runtime constant. So in final we have a flexibility. We can take that value or user input. We can take user input in our runtime and make it as immutable. I hope you understand the difference between var, const and final. In the next video, we will learn about data type and typecasting. Make sure to subscribe. Thank you so much for watching this video. Bye bye.